All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Basement Binge amid the coronavirus, and we got all three of us. Kelton did not die on his trip.
I'm alive, everybody.
He made it.
So this week's gonna be really different. We are not getting together like we normally do. We're recording over a Zoom call right now, so it's different. Anyway, we got a time frame of Zoom here, so we got to get into this. Spider-Man Far From Home, or Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm Harrison.
I'm Kelton.
And I'm Cade. Let's do this.
Okay, so immediately, spoiler wall. This is spoiler-free reactions to the movie. We get a minute to talk about it, and then if we would recommend it at the end. Cade, our timer man, you got that timer going for us?
All right, we'll set it up for you.
So we can get that quack.
Get that quackity quack going.
Dude.
All right, here we go. We got a minute on the clock. Who's ready to start?
Go for it, Kelton.
All right. Okay, spoiler wall. So, when this movie came out, I was kind of confused. I didn't know they were making, like, another Spider-Man, right? Like, the third Spider-Man. So, I was, like, kind of super confused. Because when this also came out, I was also in Mexico. And so I saw it come out in, like, theaters and stuff. But I was really confused. I didn't know if it was, like, a continuation of the second one. But anyways, so when I came home, I finally got around to watching it. And, it felt it reminded me more of, like, what I imagined as, like, childhood Spider-Man would be. It's very, very fun and lighthearted that you could really, it kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it makes you feel like you could relate to him a lot more because he's so awkward as he's in, like, I think is it middle school or no, it's high school, right? Yeah, high school. Yeah. But, like, you could relate to him so much more. Oh, freaking dang it, dude. It's so short. Anyway, good movie. I would recommend it.
All right, so my spoiler wall, 1 minute here. So I love this movie. I'm sat at myself on the list that when I did the ranking, I put it at number 2, even though it's my all-time favorite MCU movie. It should be number 1, and it's because I thought, like, the rewatchability is not as good as The Winter Soldier, which I put above it, so I had that time, I gotta have this time in between to watch Homecoming, whatever. I've ranked it wrong. This is number 1. It deserves the number 1 spot. I love the emotion of this film. I love the new ideas it has about Spider-Man and the character of Spider-Man. The music is super good from Michael Giacchino. The cinematography is amazing. I love that. But I just love how it changes the character of Spider-Man and how he's my favorite Marvel character, even in the comics. And, like, it is just so much of the idea and characteristics of Spider-Man that I've waited to see, and I just loved being able to see. It was pretty amazing. I love it. Do I recommend this movie? Definitely to anybody, no matter what, even if you are a part of the MCU or not.
There you go. Okay, well, here's my spoiler wall. And I'm on. Okay, so this movie it made me realize. So this is, I think I've watched it one time before, but it was a while ago, like when it first came out. I think I first watched it. I was in Park City when I first watched it. One thing I want to say is that this movie shows the consequences of being a kid in high school and a superhero, because he sees that he has to ditch his friends all the time and go out and be a superhero. And I like that because it expanded my idea of what Spider-Man would be like, and that's just elaborating on what the two of you guys have said already. But I was impressed by the whole story. I was so big in the story. I was so caught up in that when I watched it this time. But I would recommend this movie to complete the Spider-Man saga, I guess. But I'm out of time, so.
All right. Okay. Well, that's the spoiler wall, everybody. Thanks for listening. This originally was going to be the episode where we revealed the winner of our survey, but nobody took it on time, so we have decreased the requirements to be able to win a movie. Again, this is a movie that you will own if you win the survey. So to enter, simply take the survey in the show notes. It's like a 30-second to a minute-long survey that you'll be entered into the drawing. If you want to get in the drawing even more, share the podcast on social media and tag us. You'll get 5 extra entries automatically. That way you can win a free movie. There's going to be 2 winners, one in the U.S. and one internationally, so go take that survey. Win yourself a free movie. Thanks for listening to the Spoiler Wall. Go watch the movie if you haven't. Enjoy the heck out of it. Come back and listen to the main episode. Thanks for listening to the Basement Binge. Everybody else, on to the regular scheduled program.
Keep on chugging.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, 2 cents. This is the first segment of our podcast, like we always do. This is where we give our knee-jerk reactions with spoilers, with the whole 9 yards, but with 2 minutes. 2 minutes to do it. Let's get to it. We'll start with Harrison. This is your movie, man. This is one in your top rankings. We'll start with you. You are on the clock.
Okay, so I've already loved this movie. Already loved the emotional value that this writing and character of Spider-Man and Peter Parker plays. And then having watching Civil War so recently, a movie that I don't watch frequently, I noticed how the emotion of Peter Parker starts in that movie. That it doesn't repeat the story of Uncle Ben dying and then Peter Parker feeling guilty, and then because he feels guilty, he's like, I've got great power, so I've got to be responsible. But something happens in Peter Parker's life because of Uncle Ben, and then Uncle Ben is gone, and we're introduced to a Peter Parker who has already learned the lesson, but is just trying to live up to it. And I think that's so much harder than actually learning the lesson. And so I just love the movie and everything it does to show Peter Parker trying to be Spider-Man, trying to be someone with incredible power, the way Uncle Ben taught him, while also just trying to be a normal kid. And like trying to be normal, trying to fit in, trying to be yourself and figure out who you are in high school while also trying to be great is not easy. And that character arc continues even more in Far From Home, but I think it's just like an amazing addition to what it would mean to have greatness in you, which I think all of us do, and I'm totally getting into fall in here, but like I just love what this movie has to say about each one of us and our own potential. And I love how Tom Holland portrays Peter Parker. He's like the ultimate characterization of Spider-Man, but also Peter Parker in school. Michael Giacchino's score is super, super fun. I love that. The cinematography in this movie is really good. I mean, a lot of Marvel movies, the cinematography is just like good enough to get the job done. But in this movie, like I notice how good and artful it is. So just like so many things about this movie I think are just next level when it comes to the typical superhero movie, while also being just a fun superhero movie about Spider-Man web slinging around, having a bunch of fun. So yeah, I cannot say enough good about this movie. Just full spoilers ahead for the show. You got to get some insulin because this is going to be straight positivity for me.
Nice. Okay, Kelton, you're up. And go.
All right. My 2 cents. So, watching Spider-Man Homecoming the second time around, it really solidified the movie in 2 ways. It made me realize, I saw the good and I realized how much I liked the good parts, but I also recognized what I didn't like it, and it made me realize why I don't like those parts. I really like it now, but I also really don't like the parts I don't like, if that makes sense. But because I do love this Spider-Man, because exactly what you said, Harrison, he's just great all around. But I don't like how Iron Man becomes his mentor. I get weird vibes from that, and that kind of carries on into the second one a little bit. So I don't know why, I just don't like that vibe. But I think the thing that the biggest thing that's hard is watching Spider-Man have to learn bad things happen because technically it's his fault, you know? I that hurts me to watch movies like that, because frick, dude, why can't he just do the right thing, you know? So maybe it's because I relate too much, but so that was hard to watch. But aside from that, I actually really, really thought the dynamic between Vulture, forget his name, and Spider-Man was really, really good. I didn't realize how intense it was, especially when he picks up Liz at her house for prom. I remember watching it the first time. Vulture opens the door and it's just gut punch. You're oh my gosh. What? And we get to see our hero interact with the villain in a way that I haven't ever seen before. It's oh, you gotta be chill. Take his daughter out to prom. Suffer the uncomfortable meet the dad thing, but in a way worse way. So I thought this is a really fun movie. Great comedy in it. I loved the comedy, and it definitely improved my thoughts about the movie watching it the second time around. So
There you go.
it's going up on my rankings.
Nice. Okay, here's my 2 cents. So there's 2 things that I realized when I watched this movie for a second time. This was the first one that I was legitimately able to focus very much on because in Park City there was something going on. So I missed I missed parts of scenes and stuff. But so that was one. I was able to watch the movie completely 100% focused. 2, what was it? It gave me the reason why they made a third one. They had a third person acting as Spider-Man. Because there was, I forgot the other guys, but now, to me, it's Tom Holland. He is Spider-Man, and for a good reason, because it shows Spider-Man, he was a kid in high school when he got his powers, high school he got his powers, and 2, he is way in over his head with these powers. He doesn't, great power, great responsibility. It does that one, the other movies were so big on that, but this one was different, and so it was, you could see him struggling with how he's supposed to use his power in the right ways. First, he was going to use his power to get the girl or be popular, and that all kind of fell behind him as he was trying to save everybody. And you just see his struggle, and it's come on, man, just make the right choice. It's not that hard. We've seen 5 movies of Spider-Man making the right choice, and he's just can't seem to get it, and you want more. You want to see him understand how to use it, and you get to see it at the very end and stuff, and it's. I kind of like Tony Stark being in this movie because I just love Tony Stark in this. The mentor thing was a little weird, but I underestimated this movie a lot. I feel bad ranking it so low.
Yeah, where did all you guys rank where did you rank this one exactly?
So again, I kind of said this earlier in the whole Saga ranking. I put it at number 2, and I remember doing this because this is my number 1 movie in the MCU, but I put The Winter Soldier above it because for me, The Winter Soldier has more rewatchability than this movie. I have to go longer amounts of time between this movie than Winter Soldier, but rewatching this, I was like, nope, wrong choice. This is going back to number 1. And then, yeah. So in the phase, mine's at number 2 right now, or in the Saga.
All right. Yeah, I put mine pretty dang far down. It's at 18 out of the 23. So that's kind of garbage, Well, it's all the movies are good, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's pretty dang low. So I think that.
Yeah, with mine, mine's at 15, but that's because that's based off of that I don't know, I understated this movie, like I said before, and I feel like I need to move this up a little more because it was a lot of fun. It's one of the few Marvel movies where it's just fun, straight fun. You want a fun movie, you watch this one. So I feel bad ranking it this low. I don't know about Phase 3.
Phase 3, mine's at number 1. So
mine's at 8. It's pretty much at the bottom. Far From Home, Civil War, Captain Marvel. It's pretty low.
Yeah, for me, the 2 Spider-Man movies are 10 and 11. So I didn't. Maybe it was just I was not feeling the new Spider-Man because I actually really like the second one.
I remember in the ranking though, you were hating on this movie.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Harris had to defend it.
I'm still firm on Far From Home. From what I remember of that movie, I did not like it. It was just no. But I will say it's hard because looking at the movies above it, it might be hard to move up, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It grew on me a little more, but no, I won't say but. It grew on me. I liked it.
We are coming close to the re-ranking of all the Marvel movies, so everybody subscribe if you aren't already, because things
That's
are
gonna be a
coming
fun episode,
So hyped for
everybody.
Yeah. All right.
It's a blast to listen to.
So pick your poison. We kind of talked about ranking, kind of getting our feels out about it already, but pick your poison. Mine's obvious. I already own the movie. one of the first Marvel movies I bought. I would definitely buy it again. I'd watch this movie.
Harrison
so
would sleep with this movie like every night, coddled in his arms.
He would sleep with it.
So,
I think for me, I need to buy this movie because one thing that needs to be important is that this movie is not on Netflix. Is that correct? It's not on Netflix.
And it's not on Disney Plus.
It's not Disney Plus
Sony.
because it's owned by Sony. I think that's a super important detail that fans need to remember because I looked at Disney Plus. I was like, oh, freak. It's not on here. It's Sony. So I had to fumble around and look for it, but this movie could potentially fall through the cracks because of that. So I think I need to buy it to save this movie, even though it doesn't really need saving.
All right.
Saving it for me at least.
okay, so before I watched it the second time, I think this movie... So for everyone who doesn't know, we have like our 5 different rankings. It's Never Watch Again. It is Stream. No, we have 4. Sorry, 4 different rankings. Never Watch Again, Stream, which is like if it's there and there's nothing else to do, we'll watch it. And then we have Rent, where we'll actually pay money to watch it, like on a streaming service. And then we have Buy. So before it was like in between Never Watch Again and Stream. Like if I go to someone's house and it happens to be on, there's nothing else to do, I'm like, okay, sure, you know. Like I would never have consciously like clicked on it to watch, but I retract that feeling. I apologize for I have sinned. But I think this movie is in between Rent and like Stream. Like if I was like, hey, let's like watch this movie, everyone pitching a dollar, I'm like, okay, I'll pay that, you know what I'm saying? And maybe if I watch this again, that'll go up. Who knows? But so
you'd rent it
I
on
might
a
have
sale.
just had like a Yeah. Rent on a sale, that's a good one. But I think maybe it was just the mindset I watched it the first time. I don't know. But I definitely enjoyed it the second time through.
I will say I know that I have such a positive perception of this movie that it's hard for me to like even analyze anything bad about it. You know, like you just love something so much that like your mind can't even comprehend that it would have a flaw. So I'm excited, especially you, Kelton, because I feel like we're like at really kind of opposite ends here. But for both of you guys, I'm excited to like have someone open up my eye and like, hey, this movie isn't perfect, and I know that it isn't, but like I'm curious to see how I'm going to respond to people not being as excited about it as I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. All right, sweet. I think that moves us on to our next segment, which is Binge Points. Any Easter eggs or fun things we liked about the movie, we just kind of throw it all out so we could just enjoy it and learn cool things about this. So, anyone want to start us off? I'm trying to think right now. I had not prepared for this segment.
I'm kind of thrown.
For the sake of time, I'll just kind of say like, it is so cool to see like how many things that Karen teaches Peter about his suit that like later he uses, especially like the webs. Like I'd never noticed this before this time, but like he learns what a ricochet web is, and then a few moments later in the elevator scene in the Washington Monument, he uses the ricochet web to like bounce it off the thing to catch the elevator. And so it's like it just like to me showed how good of a
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like, and even later, he used it, like, when he fights Vulture
the
later.
web grenades and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, the ferry and all that.
When he's on the ferry and he's fighting the bad guys before the FBI shows up, he uses tons of different types of webs. And then later in the end scene, when he's fighting Vulture on the plane, he uses a bunch of different types of webs. And, like, I would not be able to learn or think that fast. And it showed, like, how smart he is, but also just, like, how good of, like, a hero he is, for lack of better words.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the Easter eggs for me, I just thought it was cool is we got to see... this movie really kind of sets up the origin of this Spider-Man really well and like establishes the time sign from the very get-go, especially with the villain. Like we see kind of the motives behind the villain and like who he is and like why he's acting the way he is, but also shows like how Spider-Man like kind of fits in with the rest of the Avengers so that like movies in the future still work out in the MCU. But I just thought it was cool to see how we never got to see really the move from the Avenger Tower to like their actual other facility, and how actually there was like a whole disaster that we never knew about, but we get to see like Spider-Man kind of do his Avenger thing. So yeah, I really like that.
Part of me thinks that the Infinity Saga is the origin story for Spider-Man. That this next era or saga is gonna be Spider-Man's character arc.
Yeah,
It's a theory
I
of
think
mine.
I think that he's a big part of it. Especially, this is totally just like guessing here. Especially if we go with like the young Avengers or the new Avengers, if they go with that route, like Spider-Man, especially as young as he is in the MCU, is huge to that. So it'll be interesting to see. Especially with the whole like legal battle between Sony and Disney, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But so yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
I also noticed like kind of what you're saying, talking about Harrison, is that this movie was really good at foreshadowing a lot of things. There's another word for it. Oh, it's no, it's not alliterate. It's exposition of where like something would get brought up early on and it would be used later on. Like I love my Ned. Is that his
Yeah.
name? Ned? His whole "can I be the chair guy" thing.
Yeah.
And then like, he has this moment later on in the movie where he's like swiveling between two different like computers.
the
He takes
chair.
one and he's like, "I'm the chair guy."
Die in the chair.
It's so funny.
So yeah, that was really cool. I noticed that this movie used exposition really well to kind of like set up things and in a good way where you didn't see it coming. Like it wasn't clunky or weird at all. It was just like fun and made it a lot more enjoyable to watch.
I agree.
So.
I also noticed that like how good the movie is at like show don't tell. People say that a lot in movies, but like funny things it tells. Like, can I be the guy in the chair? Or like web grenade? Like silly
lay
things
eggs?
like yeah, like dumb
You
things
spit
that
venom?
like they point out so they're super obvious, and then they use them later, but in like a really keen eye way. But then like really important things like Vulture's arc, going from like a bad guy who's an arms dealer to like someone who's willing to kill people. That's a huge change, and it doesn't really like say, it's never talked about. The exposition of that story isn't super clunky, but it's just like small events that happen in the movie that like it's really good at showing happening instead of telling.
Yeah.
And like it's really cool how they trade off between like enough for you to catch on with things they tell if you're not good at noticing the showing, but like rewarding you if you are. It's just, I love that about the movie.
Actually, Harrison, that makes me think like this may be one of the first movies that I can recall right now, or if it comes to mind, where you kind of get to see a mini arc in the villain. As I think about, like, remember when he shot the Shocker guy or whatever? He thought he was using the anti-gravity
Yeah.
gun or something.
Yeah, he's like,
So
can't
he
you surprised?
didn't actually have the intention to kill him, but we kind of get to see a little moment. It's like, oh, huh, and then like he kind of accepts it, and it's like, all right, this is what I'm doing for my motives, my family, or whatever it is. So that's kind of cool to see, like the villain kind of move like that. So
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
That particular scene I'm going to talk about more in Fall In because that's a big part of it. And I think you see Vulture's arc in like two ways, like to get more evil and then like super quick to realize how wrong he is and to like make a turn back for good, for like a better words, at the end. But
yeah.
So I don't really have any other binge points.
Yeah, I think also for the sake of time, I think we should move on to the next segment. So.
I do
actually,
want
no.
to say they do
Oh.
they do mention the villains of Shocker and Scorpion.
Oh yeah.
Wait, when was Scorpion?
Scorpion
mentioned?
is that dude in the end cutscene where he's like all burned up and stuff.
He's also on the ferry. He's one of the guys on the ferry that's by that. He's got a scorpion
Oh.
tattoo on his neck.
Oh, okay, that's sick. I did not notice that.
Also, another one is what's his name? I'm totally blanking on his name. Miles Morales' uncle. What's his name?
Oh.
The Prowler.
Yeah, the Prowler. Aaron Davis, is that his name?
Yeah.
He is the guy played by, I forget that, Childish
The rapper.
Gambino.
What's
The rapper. I
Donald
forget his real
Glover?
name, but who Spider-Man like webs through the car and interviews, like interrogates.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
Yeah,
right?
Donald Glover, that's his name. Yeah, that's Miles Morales' uncle. And he mentions, he's like, I got a nephew in this neighborhood.
Oh my gosh!
No way.
Dude. Mind blown.
I knew there was something.
I did not know
mentioned
that.
when I was watching. I knew there was something about Miles Morales, but I couldn't pinpoint.
Oh yeah, Cade, you brought that up, but yeah, I didn't. That's way cool. That's sick. I did not think about that.
The other binge point I want to have, I'll move on. I'll do it quick for the sake of time, though, is like this movie's like super good at throwing in like funny details in the dialogue, like, or just things in the movie that are funny. Like I notice when Spider-Man's fighting at the ATM and he's fighting the Avengers, behind him there's a sign that says "Identity theft? We can help." And it's like, just a total joke, you know. And then later, he's at dinner with Aunt May, and he's like, "I need a new backpack," and she's like, "What? That's 5." So like clearly he keeps losing his backpack. It's just like other things like that constantly throughout the movie are just thrown in, which I find hilarious.
Dang, that's awesome. I dig it.
So,
all right,
Sweet.
next segment.
Least and likes. It's the segment where we talk about our least favorite and our favorite. It's a bad description, but we're going to go with that. This is what I really wanted to get to. This segment, because I want to hear what you guys' least favorites are, and then I'll share mine. I want to hear Harrison's. I want to see if he's got one.
my least favorite?
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to remember. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not like a scene, but it's what Kelton said in it. I think it's Binge Points or Spoiler Wall, where like seeing Spider-Man having to learn that like he made a mistake, although he was acting with good intention and there's consequences. Like that's just a bummer. Like I relate to that, and like I don't think that it's bad in the film. Like it's really, really essential to the character arc of Spider-Man. So it's not bad. It's just like makes me sad. I'm like, come on, man. Like it's okay, you know. So I don't really have one. I'm trying to remember like a specific scene, and I can't remember. So if I'm kind of just trying to pick one, I guess I can say that.
All right. Least favorite scene. So this one's not really a scene, but it's like kind of like the whole like the first 15 minutes of the movie came off as kind of really cheesy and like.
The first what?
Kind of corny. Like the first 10 minutes of the movie. I don't know why, but like watching him, how does the movie?
He's like recording himself. It's like a.
Oh yeah, I did not like that. It made Peter seem younger. Yeah, like, and throughout the whole movie, Peter's always seen as like this little kid, and it plays off that a couple times, you know, with Donald Glover when he's like, yo, like, wow, I know I heard like a little girl voice, but like he's using like the negotiation thing or whatever. And then also when like he says to Ned when he wants him to unhack his suit, he's like, dude, you're just a kid. And he's like, oh, I'm not a kid. And then Ned's like, but you are though. Like, so I didn't like this whole constant, not belittling, but kind of downplaying how important and like good of a hero Spider-Man is. It kind of felt like this underdog feel, which I don't feel Spider-Man deserves as a hero. Like, yes, he's always been kind of seen as the outcast from the Avengers, like even in the comics, like the whole thing, you know. But I just didn't like how he was kind of having to like earn everything he worked for, you know. And then kind of what you're saying, Harrison, where bad things happen kind of because of his fault, you know. And then when Iron Man comes in and like chastens him for like messing up like that I did not like. It just felt like, oh, come on, like he had like good intentions, no one's listening to him, obviously like shiz is going down, but no one's like paying attention. All they could see is like the mistake he's made, you know. So I didn't like that. So that's my least favorite. What's yours, Kate?
Okay, so my least favorite was the suburb scene where he is being dragged by the van. Like, Spider-Man needs tall buildings to swing and do his jig, and he's in the suburbs, and it's like it's just him running and jumping and crashing into a shed. I
thought the golf course scene was funny, though.
The golf course was
not
funny,
gonna
though.
lie.
Like, I feel like that was as much as I wanted.
He just goes and he's like, ah, crap. He just starts running. This sucks.
But like the point where he's like he's jumping through all these neighborhoods, and he like falls into a pool. He knocks out a chimney. He breaks through a fence on purpose.
Yeah.
And he like freaks these girls out in a tent, and just like it's funny, but I was like, I wouldn't mind if it was like a couple of scenes where he falls in a few yards, but then it was like this whole dragged out thing, and I was like, okay, come on, like back to some web slinging and some Spider-Man. The Spider-Man I love, like the game I played, there's buildings everywhere. You just flip a web and you just go. So, but I didn't like that scene. So,
yeah. Well,
favorite scene.
should we talk about our favorites?
Favorites. Okay.
All right.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about it way more in following, but my favorite scene, without a doubt, probably my favorite scene in the whole MCU is when Spider-Man is crushed under the building, and he's like, "Come on, Spider-Man!" That I have so many. I just love that scene.
I thought you were going to go more into the dialogue,
I
but you kind of
did.
stopped.
Not gonna lie, I remember you telling us about that scene a little bit, and I did pay attention a lot more, and I was able to feel the emotion a little more. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what you
I
have to say
remember that.
following.
Okay, and I pay attention to this, so like sat up on the couch and listen more. Favorite.
Yeah, Cade, what's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene. Favorite scene. I gotta like rewind the movie in my head. There was one I wanted to make. It was the first 20 minutes or first 30 minutes. I like seriously enjoyed that. Like this whole, other than like the video thing but the point where he gets the suit and he's like, he like goes out and he's crime fighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like he like gets a churro from this old lady and like. He like the guy is locked out of his car. She's like locking into it, and he like whipsling his hand and whipsling his face and slams his face into this car. And then all the neighbors are like, "What are you doing?" And then Stanley.
Okay, for the record, quick point out like about how cool this movie was, is that remember how he called Happy and tells him like he got like this lady bought him a churro, right? Later when Tony Stark is talking to Peter, he brings up the churro lady, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of cool, like just to see like the depth. Yeah, to see the depth of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry I interrupted.
I love the crime fightingness of Spider-Man and his banter with criminals. Like usually, I don't know if you've been in a fight, but there's not much conversation. And then because seeing him talk to all these bad guys reminded me of that scene. I was like, oh, this is a good part. I just really enjoyed that. It takes me back to when I was a kid.
When he's at the ATM and like he sees him and he kind of like sets up
like,
to like rest against him.
He like walks in the door. Like, hey guys,
closes it.
Tries to be all cool.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
My
favorite scene.
Oh, go ahead, Colton.
Go ahead, Kate. Okay, yeah. My favorite scene. I actually really, really liked the final fight with Vulture and Spider-Man.
On the plane or on the ground?
On the ground.
Okay.
Like, actually kind of all of it, but I really liked it on the ground. Because there's, like, a moment when they're both in the air, and, like, the fire's kind of burning on the sand. It just created, like, a cool moment. And it was... I think it doesn't go slow-mo. In my head, it was slow-mo because it was so sick. But, like, I just remember they were fighting. I was like, whoa. Like, the CGI was really, really cool. And for the record, I love Vulture's wings.
Yeah, those are
Wasn't
cool.
they sick? Like, huge. Like, all the moments when he's, like, about to put them on, they're, like, all fanned out. Or, like, when he's up on the billboard and they're, like, kind of shielding him.
They're so cool.
Like, that just was cool. Like, each time, like, the rotors would come out, like, kind of menacing. You're just like, and you're like, oh, dang, it's Vulture. That was sick. So it was cool to, like, watch that in action, like, fighting Spider-Man. And Spider-Man using all his, like, webs and just, like, fighting it and stuff. So that was way fun to watch. So that was my favorite scene.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, let's move on to the final segment
Wait,
here.
honorable mention is the scene where Aunt May almost drops the F-bomb.
What the...
Okay, I'm done.
That was good, yeah.
I'm done.
All right. Last segment. Fall in. Okay. Meanings, messages, the emotion of the movie. I've obviously got a ton to talk about. I want to talk about Vulture a little bit and kind of his arc and why it's so relatable, and also Spider-Man. But is there anything else you guys notice? I don't want to like take over. I know you guys have things to say too.
No, I'm happy to just, like, write on what you have, Harrison. Just hop on that. But, Cade, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, so the moment where, like, Spider-Man is, like... So this movie really just, like, emphasized, kind of just beat into you that Spider-Man is a kid. He's a kid. He's not... He's a superhero, but he's definitely a kid. He's got a kid with superpowers, and he's ditching school, he's ditching friends, he's ditching a date to go out and be a superhero. But you can see that he has all these good intentions, but he's bailing out on a lot of stuff. So his whole like everywhere else, he seemed like a bad kid, and he's like, I'm not bad. I'm just trying to be good, and it's just this. That bugged me, but for a good reason, because in the other movies, like you didn't see the consequences of him like running off. Oh, gotta go somewhere, and he makes an excuse and stuff like that. Like the one thing like that hits home the biggest with him like ditching everything else and being Spider-Man was when Tony Stark calls him and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to say like, nice job nice job in DC. That was really great, and because I know my dad is not." He didn't ever really commend me a lot, so I wanted to break the cycle of shame. And like you can see, Tony Stark is actually trying to be. You can see his arc a little bit, but you can see. I just like that conversation because Spider-Man's like he's like pushing away, like no, like I don't need your help, like I got this, but he doesn't really because kids are always in over their head, like it almost doesn't matter what it is, they're always in over their head on stuff. And they like romanticize things, and Spider-Man in this movie is a perfect example of that. And that conversation with Tony Stark over the phone with Karen is perfect. Shows that perfectly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's cool. I like it.
What do you got, Harrison?
Well, I'll talk about Vulture super quick. I like. So, like, just super quick to, like, kind of run down why I think his arc is so impressive and why he's one of the best villains in the MCU, especially up to this point, is, like, he starts as somebody who just got, like, a rough situation. Like, he was just doing his job. He took out a loan. Like, you know, an opportunity came up in his life where he was excited about a financial opportunity he had to provide for his family, and so he took a lot of risks on it. And then, you know, he lost it. And that's, like, a huge bummer. Like, that stinks, dude. Yeah, just because Tony Stark's got money and he's gonna handle the thing, just boom, you're out of a job. Like, that's rough. And so, like, kind of desperation and, like, the despair of that can lead people to do less than good things. And the more and more you do less than good things, the more and more bad things you do. And that's exactly what happens. He starts stealing things, and then he starts selling weapons, and then they start getting more extreme, and then he starts lying to his wife, and then when there's a chance that his wife could find out, he's willing to kill people. And then he accidentally does kill somebody. And then he's like, oh, well, you know, to quote Knives Out, in for a penny, in for a pound. Like, he just kind of goes full-fledged, like, well, I killed a dude. Well, now I'm willing to do that. And it's like an interesting arc of, like, trying to keep a lie to someone you love and, like, live up to your fake lie without them finding out. And, like, the horrible and desperate measures you'll do to protect that lie from coming out, but also how, like, just tough times made him make a bad decision, and the more he continued to make those bad decisions, the worse he got. Until, at the very end, luckily, someone with a good heart, like Spider-Man, chose to save him anyway, and then he starts to kind of realize he suffers the consequences of his actions, and then starts to realize that, you know, there's a different choice. And I just like that arc. I think it's, you know, it's really, like, easy to just be like, oh, he's a bad dude, he steals weapons, he kills people just because he's bad. But it's way different to show, like, he wasn't always that way, it was a progression. Which I just like.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of like what I kind of like what I was saying with the whole villain thing. We get to see him kind of progress. And I thought it was really cool just at the end and how he was willing to kind of walk away from Spider-Man. You know, he gave Peter kind of like a look, last chance kind of thing, you know? So I think it really showed a lot of it, like his character. I'm like, how he still isn't just like some crazy guy who's willing to kill anyone, you know? Like, he recognized that Peter saved his daughter's life, but he's also saying, like, stay out of my business, you know? So I thought that was cool. Yeah, Harrison, what else were you thinking about saying?
I just love Spider-Man's arc, like I was saying. So we all know the story of Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben dies. I don't know what the Uncle Ben in this universe tells Spider-Man, but something along the lines of great power comes great responsibilities. I mean, Spider-Man says it himself in Civil War. When you have the power to stop bad things from happening, and those bad things still happen, they happen because of you. And, like, it's just like a huge mantle on his shoulder that's like, you have the ability to be great, and you have the responsibility to live up to that greatness. And that's not easy when you're a kid in high school. And the reason that I love it so much is because I think that is a mantle that's placed on every single person who's ever lived. And like that sounds so cheesy, but I really believe that like each one of us has the responsibility and potential to live up to so much more because of how much potential is inside of us. And it is so hard. Like Spider-Man suffers because he's trying to do the right thing, and then he almost gets expelled from school, and then people think he's a loser, and all these bad things happen because he's trying to do the good thing, and then like it's really hard to find a balance. And then when he does try to do the good thing, the person that he's trying to prove his worth to just totally says you're worthless. And like there's another kind of side of it where like he's looking up, he's trying to find a father figure to replace Uncle Ben, someone that can say, you know what, Spider-Man, you did it. Like Peter, you did it. Someone who can gratify his desire to live up to that responsibility Uncle Ben put on him. And I think that's why he latches onto Iron Man so quickly, and that's why he's so devastated when Iron Man lets him go. And that's just like such something that I relate to on a daily basis. Like I'm trying so hard to be good, and all these bad things are happening, and then people that I want to see that I'm being good like are disappointed in me, and that's just like hard. It's hard to live up to who you can be when you care about what those people care about you, you know?
And I think that kind of embodies like the whole point of being a hero, right? Is being able to like not be able to recognize like your ability to help, but also put that ability to help above like almost any other thing that you can do. You know, like you could argue that Peter could have totally like stayed at that party to show, and Spider-Man shows up like, oh, you know what's up, like Peter's my best bro or something, you know, just to help kind of Peter save face in front of the school and not be like a loser anymore, you know. But like when it came to it, he saw something happen and he left because that's what a hero would do. And just that selfless conscience to go and do the right thing, even though it kind of makes your life harder in the end, like trying to do your thing or to kind of achieve your other hopes and dreams that you have. So I think that's really important to see, like to be able to find that part of you to kind of recognize your ability to help and to always act on it if you see an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Another like side of it that kind of has to do with it, but not a ton, is that scene that I love, and it's just because I'll be quick because I know we're running out of time. But it just comes from the first time I ever watched the movie. I was just amazed, like how much I felt like Spider-Man when the building crumbled on him. Like he's crushed, he's gonna die, and like the first thing he does is like start to cry and almost have like an anxiety attack, and like cries out like a kid, like I'm down here, like help me, like. And it's done so well by Tom Holland, but like nobody's there. I mean, a whole building just fell down in the middle of nowhere. Like nobody is even close, and he knows that. But it's like almost so instinctual for him to just like call out for help, and then he realizes that it's like ultimately up to him, and he has that great moment where he's like, "Come on, Spider-Man!" And it's like the reason that I think it's a part of that arc is because he realizes that he's good enough because of who he is. Like he's not good enough because he's got a fancy suit from Tony Stark. He's not good enough because Tony Stark said he was good enough to be an Avenger. He's good enough because he's Spider-Man, and like he doesn't have to be bitten by the spider to be Spider-Man. So I don't want to like try and say this and say like, oh well, I wasn't bitten by the Spider-Man. I'm bit of a spider. I'm not Spider-Man, but like he's good enough. He can do it because of who he is, and then he does and lifts up a freaking building off of him in like this super intense scene, and it's just cool.
Yeah, I noticed something really cool about that scene is he first says like, "Come on, Peter," as he's trying to lift up the rubble, and then he says, "Come on, Spider-Man." Like, I think that slight change of how he addresses himself shows like he's recognizing that he is someone important and he is someone who like can do it, you know? So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I love it.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it just makes him relatable that superheroes are not just like people who are just, they can just pick up superpowers and just be who the comics are. But like Spider-Man really had to come into his own because no one was there for him. So he had to turn himself and really, I don't know. You could talk about all day about that scene. That was huge because how old is Peter Parker in this movie? He's like
17?
what, 15, 16?
Something
Like I don't know if I'll
that.
be able to do that if I was that old, but it's pretty awesome.
I just love it too, and I would really, I have to mention this. I love, especially at the beginning of the movie, like Kate mentioned that scene where he's fighting crime, like how the cinematography makes Spider-Man so insignificant. Like once an example where he's like swinging his weapon, he like trips on the building, and he's like, "I'm okay," and he's like puny. Like he fills up what like 1% of the frame. Like he's so small, and like not only the cinematography, but especially the cinematography, like it just makes him insignificant, and he's looking for gratification of that responsibility he's trying to live up to, but also like who he can be in other people, and then at the end
Like
he gives
like
himself
when
that gratification.
when the random citizen told him to do a backflip on top of that building, he felt good, like someone recognized him as Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's like, "Call me Spider-Man." Like he's wanting that gratification of that responsibility he has to live up to from other people, and he gives it to himself at the end, so to speak, in believing in himself. And it's just like a powerful, like, there's this quote that my wife shares with me sometimes. I've mentioned it before in the podcast, that it's like, our biggest fear isn't that we are like incapable, but we are powerful beyond measure. Totally butchered it, but like the idea is that like there's so much greatness in each one of us, and we just have to understand that and bring it out and stop looking for it in the wrong places. So
I like that.
I love this movie. I could talk about it forever, so I should just stop.
Yeah, those are some really cool like insights. I think when you're able to take this movie and see it that way, it's really, really cool to see whether we kind of go through struggles like that or someone else does. Perhaps not on like such a big scale, but just like even small moments like that of where we kind of recognize our own worth and our abilities. It's really cool to talk about it and kind of learn from that. So I appreciate that, Harrison and Cade. You guys have some cool insights.
Well, should we end it on that note? That's a good note to end on.
So, all right. Right now, I can't hear Harrison.
I
hear
can't hear him. I think he's frozen. So let's just. That's a good note to end on. We lost Harrison. He might have heard the same audio. We'll hear his audio when we finish. But
yeah,
thanks
everyone for listening.
And
don't forget to fill out our survey really quick to get a free movie. Go out and do that. It's really quick. Share it on social media, all that jazz. Check it out in the link. We'll post it online, all that stuff. So go check it out. And you guys are awesome. So
peace out, home dogs.
All right, what it do, baby? Adios.